Jerod, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Happy holidays, and
Happy holidays.
I guess the place that I would love to start with you today is where you left off on yesterday's game or Saturday's game rather. You said when you came out of that game, not a whole lot of positives that you could take away from the film. I know when you just met with the media, you said, well, Cole Strange at center seemed to be a place that you could build from. Did you find any other silver linings in that performance?
Look, when watching it, effort wasn't the problem. It was just execution across the board. And look, it all starts with me, and I'm okay saying that, and we just have to be better.
When you talk about effort, there was, I think it was Daniel Akwale.
Come
on. I don't listen. I told you I'm horrible with last names, right? If it's not
Wiggy came in from his vacation.
If it's not like James Johnson or Jefferson, I tend to kind of butcher them a little bit. But he had said that he felt like there were some guys that he might have saw some quitting players. Do you feel like you saw that in any part of the game from watching the film afterwards?
I mean, look, there were a couple field goal blocks that, guys didn't get their hands up. But besides that, I felt like the effort was good. And it's hard. Look, it is hard. Like, you used to be a player. It's hard when, the score kind of gets out of control like that to keep pushing on. And I would say the majority, most of, if not all, of the guys were still going out there trying to make a play.
When we talked to you early in the season, I think one thing, it's always about having confidence as a former player, now turned coach. We all have that confidence. You were confident that you guys would be able to win more games than you were last year. If you could, now that you've been able to see pretty much the whole season except for one more game left, what would you do differently that could affect that outcome in your mind?
For me, my confidence is still high, and I feel like we're on a journey. Mm-hmm. We're on a journey, and that's part of it. And so you're going to have to go through the fire. You're going to have to go through the boos. You're going to have to go through the criticism to get to where you want to go. Anything worth having it has to be hard, and that's what it is right now.
So you mentioned that there were still guys in the fourth quarter going out with a lot of fight. Drake May appears to be somebody who just has that very naturally. Was there any conversation at all in the fourth quarter when Justin Herbert is on the sidelines on the other side about, hey, should Drake go back in at all, or was it just kind of a given at that point?
Look, Drake is a competitor. He said he was good. He was cleared by the NFL, and he wanted to play.
When you look at this up-and-coming game, I know that you had mentioned that as far as starting Drake May, everything's still on the table. Do you plan on starting him, or is there, when you say there's a lot of things on the table, what do you mean by that in general?
You already answered the question. There are a lot of things on the table, and look, it's, Monday? Playing on a Saturday. My days kind of get messed up.
Today's Monday.
Yeah, today's Monday, so we have time to have those conversations.
How many people, if you mind sharing at all, are involved in those conversations about, hey, we're looking at Drake, we're looking at maybe somebody else at the quarterback position and positions elsewhere besides just the quarterback?
We have multiple staff meetings every single day, and so those conversations come up, and ultimately it's my decision. At the same time, those conversations happen every day.
Is there an emphasis in Sunday's game against the Bills to try to get more of a look at some of the younger guys or some of the guys who have gotten less play time throughout the season to see what you have going into the offseason?
It kind of goes back to kind of what I said earlier. Like, everything's on the table, and guys want to go out there and play, and guys need to go out there and play and get better. That's how you get better at playing football, is playing football.
Right, and I guess my thing would be like Drake has done an amazing job since he's been the starter. Is there a little bit of concern because of the concussion to lead you to say, well, we might?
There was never he was cleared.
Cleared. Okay. All right. So he was cleared from the hit. So is that maybe why you're saying that? Okay, maybe everything's on the table. Because when I think everything's on the table, I'm thinking, well, is Drake not going to potentially not start on Sunday?
I mean, that could happen. That's what I'm saying. Like, everything's on the table.
And is that pop because of the hit that he took?
It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, look, it's the last game of the season, and we have to look forward. Like, going back to, it's a journey. I mean, it's not just about one game. It is, trying to be present and win this football game, but it's a journey, and we got to think, look out the front windshield where we want to go.
The way that, just from an outside perspective, the way that Drake's head injury and the evaluations played out in that game were a little unusual compared to a lot of times when we see somebody go down to the locker room, we don't see them come back out. And so you got a huge boost from the fans. Drake comes back out on the field, and everybody's very excited. Of course, he's going to be out there.
I don't know.
But
I don't. Sorry, not to cut you off. I don't know what the numbers are or what percentage of guys come out of the locker room. I've seen that before, though.
oh no, I
Okay,
know. But
yeah.
oftentimes it's you
Yep.
see him go in the locker room and you go, oh no, like that's kind of the inclination. Do you feel like then you see Drake take off on a run immediately when he's on the field? Do you feel like he's at a point in his development where you're comfortable with him being able to protect himself as a free runner?
He has gotten better. Early in the season, he was taking a lot more hits. I would say he has gotten better, and that's part of him just developing. And look, he is, the quarterback position as a whole is the most important position on the football field. And he'll continue to grow, continue to develop, and take less hits going forward.
I think it's something that a lot of fans, because they know the value of a quarterback,
Yep.
and they're so excited about a young quarterback. It's not just him. It's you watch other rookies around the league who are very mobile, and the fear of them getting hurt is real. So do you think that there's further steps that Drake should take in the offseason that the entire offensive coaching staff can look at for him in terms of not taking away that out of his toolbox, but making him better at protecting himself from those hits?
Well, I would say that, first of all, we have 5 big guys up there who are responsible for protecting the quarterback. And then having the ability to extend plays is always a risk of getting hit once you get outside the pocket. But again, look, he's a competitor and he's growing. He's still young, and I think that's the most important thing for people to remember. He's still a very young player. He's still learning a lot about football and professional football and how big and how fast the other guys on the other side of the ball are. But again, I would say at the point now versus earlier in the season, he does a better job protecting himself.
There were some guys, Keon White, after the game, and, I think Jonathan Jones might have said it as well, it's just like there needs to be some changes made. Generally from my perspective as a former player, when I think of like a player says changes, I think that he might be talking about where he feels he's being placed when it comes to the coaches in a specific role, and maybe he feels like maybe there should be a new DC, new D-line coach. Who the hell knows?
That's not what he was talking about.
What's he mean by that?
I had a conversation with him this morning. I had a conversation after the first comment. Look, again, it goes back. This is a symptom of losing football games too. And as a competitor, you get frustrated. I will say this: like he took some accountability too for the way that he's performed this year. And again, the expectation is to get better going forward, and it starts this week against the Bills.
Does he feel? Probably no, he doesn't. But does he specifically talk about where he feels like he could be more valued in his specific role in the defense?
The roles change all the time. Look, he started the season off hot, and there was a lull there, and again, it just goes back to him being frustrated with this play, and sometimes those things come out. It's a human reaction to be frustrated, and sometimes we all say things that we don't really mean.
Do you think that the comments that he made to Karen Guregian in particular were things that he didn't really mean in saying, I'm just trying to get through these next few games?
Look, when I talked to him, he was like, look, that's not what I meant, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay. And do you think that any of look, the frustration is obviously born out of losing.
That's right.
If you're winning games, everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
It's dancing in the locker room and it's a celebration. But do you think that there's any extra level of frustration from just having veteran guys having to be playing not necessarily out of position, but maybe in a position or a style that's more uncomfortable because of the need for the team overall?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And these guys have to, all of us, check our ego at the door. And sometimes we have to play in positions that we may not feel comfortable with. But if it's better for the football team, and that's how I think about it. Look, there are individuals in there, individual men, but I have to do what's best for the football team. And, that's always been the goal, and that will be the goal going forward.
How do you get players, because like you said, it is frustrating when you're losing, but how do you get them, and yourself included, to make sure that when we say certain things, it's going to come across a certain way, because we're not telling the whole story. So I guess maybe is that learning lessons for you and this team
100%
heading into next year? Like when we start to say things out of frustration, we have to be careful.
100%. Once you say things out of frustration, there's no taking it back. So 100%. I do think it's important. Even a guy like Keon, he's another young guy. He's been in the league just a handful of years. He's a young guy, and he's learning on and off the field and how things really affect the team.
How difficult do you think it is having some of the more veteran guys, say like Juwan Bentley, for example, be absent from the field in keeping the message consistent through the locker room?
I mean, look, it's been a very difficult year, record aside. We lost some good leaders as far as playing. Think about Bentley, David Andrews, those guys, and it is tough. And at the same time, like, our expectation has to be next man up, be ready to go, and be ready to go out there and perform. And we've done that at times. And I think the biggest thing for me is just we're just inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
We go out there, we play against the Bills, we lose the game. But it was a hard-fought game. And then, the Chargers are a good football team. They came in here and whooped our tails, and now it's, look, what are we going to do this upcoming week? It's the last opportunity we have to do anything.
I know you get to sit down. You told us that you get to sit down with Robert, and I don't know if Jonathan's in on those meetings every week, but has there been any conversation, because there's so much speculation going on and about whether or not you'll be coming back, returning, like, do you sit in those meetings, and has some of that been told to you on what, because I know you prepare for a game, but you also still got to be preparing for, okay, what my future holds. Has there been any conversations from the Crafts on, like, where they see you in this team moving forward?
I'm in constant communication with ownership. We have good conversations. We have hard conversations, but that's just part of our relationship. And again, like, their expectation is that we need to win football games, and that's what we have to do.
Obviously, the focus is on the Bills game Sunday, but there is overarching considerations such as the draft position.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you speak with ownership about, or is it something that's even in consideration going into game planning?
Look, I would keep all those conversations I have with ownership private. And again, like, they're all about winning football games. So that's my job, to get the guys out there ready to go.
So moving forward, obviously there was I don't know whether you call it miscommunication between Ramondre and Antonio Gibson. What's your expectations moving forward? It seemed like Antonio Gibson got the bulk of the carries. Ramondre's had some issues where he's fumbled the ball, even though he did start. Is this something that moving forward that he's going to have to continue to prove if he wants to get more playing time, or you guys made the decision that maybe you're leaning more towards going with Gibson from here on out?
Yeah, I would say, for this game, all things are still under consideration. And, we'll know as the week goes on.
All right, let's get to our Hellman's Mayo question of the week. You can purchase Hellman's at your local Walmart or grocery store to add extra deliciousness and creamy flavor to your game day dishes this football season. So you spoke after the game, and you just reiterated this feeling of an inconsistency with the team. One week you do things well, the next week it seems like there's another crop of problems, or some things are better. What is one thing that you've been able to find that this team does consistently that you would like to take into the offseason and into next season?
I would just say, the overall just mental toughness. The guys, look, it hasn't been easy. We won a few games. The guys are frustrated, but at the same time come in every single day ready to work, and I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle, and staying even, amongst all the noise. And again, going back to Drake, that's one of his strengths, is ignoring the noise and just wanting to do what's best for the football team, and we have a lot of guys like that on the team.
Well, I will say this, them Jordan 4s was clean. Them joints was white, crispy, clean. So, even though the outcome wasn't what you wanted, them Jordans was clean. Give you that.
Thanks, bro.
All right, Jerod Mayo, head coach of the New England Patriots. The conversation with the coach is brought to you by Cross Insurance. Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots. Happy holidays, happy New Year's.
Holidays,
Thank you
New
so much for joining us on WEEI
Thanks
all
for having
season
me.
long.